This is a junkyard battery. So this person was definitely trying to fix their own car, do things at home, even though they said they went to a mechanic. And it looks basically brand new. And if you check the back, you can actually see where they cut out this old gel. Welcome back to another episode of Broke Premiere, guys. If you are new to the channel, in the past episodes, we've been working on my new daily driver, but I have been searching for a flip. I've been trying to find a really fun flip, something new, different. At this point, I'm trying to find anything, but I did have some success. This is my 2008 Mazda-3, which is actually the second Mazda that I've done on the channel so far. And honestly, the first one went so well that I couldn't pass up this opportunity. So I bought this for $1,200, just a little higher than I usually like to spend on these types of cars, but the market is a little crazy and I think I was just lucky enough to get it. While I was there to look at it, I just beat a guy who was supposed to come an hour after me, and I literally paid for the car and got the title in my hand as the other guy was pulling up. So going back to you guys always asking how I do this, it's just like you find a deal, get in the car with money and go there and try to strike the deal. Now, the guy was asking $1,500 for the car, which honestly, in the condition it is pretty fair, especially in the market, but it does need a lot of little love. So first things first, it has 142,000 miles, and the main issue with it is the transmission control module keeps kind of shorting out and resetting, and the car won't shift normally. Once it's reset, car shifts fine, smooth, no problem. I guess it's common on these. I've already done a bit of research and it seems like there's a whole system, like you can send them in to get them reflashed. It's a pretty common error on this particular transmission in these models. The next thing that's wrong with it is it needs a windshield. I don't know if I'm going to be the one to replace it. I'd like to attempt to do one, but it's also quite a big task. So we'll see. I might end up doing this myself, but I don't know yet. But as far as the interior, it's pretty gnarly. The headliner's good, but it does need a good cleaning. But everything in here just smells stale and old. I don't know if you can see this, but the steering wheel is the most disgusting steering wheel I've ever touched, ever. So those holes are supposed to be around this whole thing. It's filthy. It's gonna need a lot of cleaning. Like, look at the layer of grime. That's not something rubbed off, that's something rubbed on. So it's pretty gross, it's disgusting. But as far as any damage or stains, there's not really stains or anything. It's just ugly, that's all. Definitely been a dog in here. It's not too bad. It really just smells stale. That's really the problem. It smells really just gross. Now, the trunk seems to be okay. I forgot to check for a spare tire, but luckily the carpet in this one, oh yeah, spare tire seems to be there. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Don't have to worry about that. Now, the paint does need some love. This top clear coat is almost burned through. It needs a little love brought back to it, and there is some burn through marks up here, which I'm gonna try to search how to just fix these little spots of clear coat. If I can just sand it down a little bit and put another layer on there, but I'm gonna try to fix the little spots instead of painting the whole dang thing, because really the rest of it's pretty good. It really just needs a nice little buff to bring it back to where it is. Being that I'm going to be fixing the clear coat, I also think I'm going to attempt sanding and clear coating the headlights this time, just to see what the difference is between when I buff them and sand them and give them a nice new clear coat. But first, what I think I'm going to end up doing is, when I was driving this car, there was barely any brakes. Like, press the brakes to the floor, have to pump them up, press it again, got a little bit, press it again, you finally have some brakes. So that was part of the bargaining I did with the guy. He was asking $1,500. I got it for $1,200. But really, I think the problem with the transmission controller is actually an issue with the brakes. I was noticing yesterday while I was trying to stop that the transmission couldn't read that I was slowing down, as if there wasn't enough force for it to realize it should shift down a gear. And I think that's what's causing the TCM to actually trip every time. I don't think it's actually the TCM. But again, fingers crossed. I'm always hoping it's something simple, and most of the time it is. But that's what we're gonna start off first today. I need to figure out why these brakes are going completely to the ground. I mentioned to him it's probably gonna need a brake booster. He said, I don't know, I had the guy do the brakes not too long ago. I think he tried to do the brake booster himself and just didn't put in enough brake fluid. That or the brake fluid's old, it's destroyed, and it needs to be refreshed. But that's what we're gonna attempt first today, is we're going to take off all the tires and start bleeding all the brakes. So that's the goal. Let's get at it. All right, so I bled all the brakes, and I had forgot that the ball joints were feeling a little noisy when I was driving around the other day, so I ended up greasing up all the joints, and I've tested the brakes a little bit, and they seem a lot better. They definitely grab more towards the bottom, but they're not where I'd want them to be. So that's leaving me to think that there's still something else going on with them. All the pads look good, but I'm still not getting the pressure that I would like at the top of them. So what I'm thinking that might actually be the problem is just this simple little check valve way back here. So basically this is the air line that goes from the brake booster all the way down to the engine. But I'm thinking that maybe just that check valve isn't holding pressure anymore and is causing this whole thing to kind of cause an issue. Again, fingers crossed, hoping. But to do that, I have to take out the battery. Oh, and I pointed out the battery before because I wanted to make a note. This is a junkyard battery. This right here is a sticker you get from the junkyard. So this person was definitely trying to fix their own car, do things at home, even though they said they went to a mechanic. So it just kind of gives me a little more idea of what's going on. He tried to do a lot of things at home, wasn't that great at it. So that's good to know. But anyway, I need to remove this battery to get to that check valve and then see if that thing even works at all. But before I do any of that, I want to first check the check engine codes in the car just so I don't lose them and then have to go through the whole process trying to find them again. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. All right, so let's see what we got. Okay, so shift solenoid, electrical. Okay, so it's a P0753. Well, let's check the SRS. That's good. No airbag issues. ABS. Okay, communication bus fault. Error. All right, guys. So now that I got the check engine codes, I am going to start tearing apart to get to that check valve, see if that works. And now that I know that there might be a ground issue to one of the wiring harnesses, I'm definitely going to check out the wiring harnesses just to see if there's any type of corrosion, anything in any of the wiring harnesses. So that's the goal. Let's get at it. So I've taken out the battery, I've taken out the ECU, I believe, along with the battery case and the check valve that goes to the brake booster. Check valve looks good, seems to be operating correctly. But while I'm in here, I want to take out the air box, make sure the air filter is clean. While checking the engine codes, I noticed that the evap modular hadn't been cleared. So that makes me think that there's still something going on. So I'd like to try to make sure everything's clean while I'm at this part, while I'm this far in, anyhow, just to avoid any issues going forward. So that's the goal. Let's get at it. All right, so I took out the air box, checked the air filter. Looks like it can be replaced. I'll probably try to grab one in the next video. But if you saw, I actually cleaned the throttle body as well, at least the best I could, the way it was. It was a little grimy. It is making me think that I need to run some seafoam through this if I want that evap to clear. But I checked out some videos for that P0753 code, I think it was, for the transmission solenoid issue. It does look like it is exactly what the guy tried to replace, which was the TCM. So the reason these TCMs go, and I'll show you really quick, is they are literally mounted directly on top of the transmission. So as it sits here, as the transmission gets hot, you know, a couple hundred degrees while driving, then cools, then you do it again, driving, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. What happens is it ends up breaking all the soldering inside the TCM. So there's been a hack what people have been doing is they've actually just been taking it off, flipping it up, and literally just zip tying it to the brake lines here just to get it away from the transmission and keep it cool. So what I think I'm gonna do right now, guys, I'm actually gonna take these bolts off, take out the TCM, kind of check it just to see if it's ever been messed with, and then also check some of the wires back here to see if there's anything type of breaking or any type of grounding issues that could be happening. So that's the goal. Let's get at it. All right guys, so I think you saw I was able to remove the TCM, which was no small feat. You basically have to pull everything out on the right side of the engine bay. So as you saw, I thought I could leave in the airbox. I ended up having to remove it just to get those two nuts right there. And then I ended up, and I don't know if I recorded it, but I ended up blowing out all of the wire harnesses just in case. They all seem to be pretty clean. I don't think there was anything in them. But just to make sure there's no issue, I did that. But what's pretty crazy, guys, is this was definitely remanufactured. In fact, it says it right here. Like, it was remanufactured to the VIN of the car. And it looks basically brand new. And if you check the back, you can actually see where they cut out this old gel and try to replace, I guess there's like a couple of common spots on these. So I don't know if maybe they missed something down here that maybe was still unsoldered and needed to be replaced. It's common for a capacitor to blow up in these, so maybe they just thought replacing the capacitor. Nonetheless, seems to be shot, seems to not be working. The guy got it, put it in, didn't work within a week of using it. So what my thoughts are is I'm going to head down to the junkyard, get a replacement. They'll probably be about 35 to 45 bucks at the junkyard. And I'm gonna try to find one that's already been replaced. So hopefully someone's done the whole tied up and put next to the brake line idea, and I can take one from there. From what I'm seeing on the research, it appears that almost everyone goes to the junkyard to try to do this exact same thing. So fingers crossed we get lucky. What I'm also trying to do is see if there's anything else I'm gonna need from the junkyard before I actually head down there. Of course I need the windshield. I don't know if I want to take the risk. This takes so much work, guys, to try to remove a window. It's kind of unbelievable how strong the sealants on those things are. And you guys can actually go back to my Cobalt video. I replaced the rear little corner glass on the Cobalt, and I didn't even tape me taking it out because what I thought was gonna be a 20-minute job took me 4 hours. I was cut all the bits from all the metal and the razor trying to cut it. It was such a massacre of trying to get that thing out. So doing a windshield and watching everyone online who does windshields, this seems horrific to even attempt. Doesn't mean I won't, but I don't know. I still don't know. We'll see if I end up getting it at the junkyard or not. See how the time goes and if everything works out. But everything else seems to be here. It's not like the other cars where usually there's a little something missing here and there. Everything seems to be here. It just seems filthy. Seems really gross. So I'm not too nervous that I'm gonna miss something. And if I do, then I'll have to run back. But like I said, I'm trying to do one run, make it simple, be in and out type of deal. Oh, good news. Someone might be coming for the Cadillac tonight, but they would be coming from LA, so fingers crossed. He wanted me to meet him about halfway, and I kind of said no, because usually someone who's going to meet halfway isn't that interested. If they're really interested, they'll make it down here, which, if you guys remember the Saturn Vue, I had a gentleman come from LA. He was buying it for his new car for him and his kids. It was really cool, but he drove down 2 hours, rented a car. It was the first car he bought in a few years. It was really cool. So anyway, if someone's really interested, they will make sure they find a way down to get the cars. And that goes for me as well. Like, if I really want the cars, I leave immediately, like I told you guys. I was texting a guy. He said that someone might be coming at 12. I said, can I come right now? Which was like 40 minutes earlier. And he said, sure. So that's how I got this car. I just dropped everything, ran with the money, and got the car. So like, if you want it, you'll make a way to go get it, is kind of the concept. But I am hoping he does show up. If not, he might come tomorrow morning, but we'll have to see then. Oh, before I forget, guys, if you haven't yet, please make sure to go down, smash the like button. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithms. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It seems like about 70+% of you guys aren't even subscribed. So go down, hit the subscribe button, click the notifications bell. This way you get alerted every time I put out a new video. And I'm actually doing 2 a week now, so if you haven't yet, make sure to click that bell so you guys don't end up falling behind. But what I really wanted to ask you guys is if you know anything about these TCMs, and if there happens to be another issue, like if you watch the Dodge Caravan videos, everyone thought it was a transmission problem, turned out to be a wiring problem that I figured out. And it seems to be a common issue on the Dodge Caravans, is that they cook the wires, because the wires lay right on the engine. So if you know that there's something else besides this TCM issue, maybe there's a bad ground somewhere or a wire that tends to fray, if any of you know that, you guys could please let me know down below. I'd appreciate the heck out of it. It would help me out a ton. But what I'm really wondering, guys, is what do you think of the car? Do you think it was smart for me to pay $1,200 for this thing when I just paid $1,200 for that Cadillac? It is a year newer. It does have 60,000 more miles, and it does need some paint work and a good clean. So it's got some trade-offs either way. I do think it'll sell faster because it's worth less. It'll probably be worth around 4, maybe 5 if I'm lucky, but I think it'll sell faster. I don't know, we'll see. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. If you think I should have held off longer, try to find something else. I really just tried to keep the momentum going here so I wouldn't be stuck kind of doing nothing and not really generating any good content for you guys. Anyway, with all that said, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you again on Sunday. Later, guys.